The dust motes danced in the late afternoon sun slashing through the bay window of my living room. I was on my knees, not in prayer, but in that familiar, semi-meditative state of tidying up. A stray Lego piece, a forgotten coffee mug, a glossy magazine slid back into its rack. Each item returned to its ordained place in the quiet, empty house. My name is Barbara Miller, and at 62, the silence after a family visit was both a relief and a hollow echo. This particular silence was from my daughter Chloe's whirlwind departure an hour before, her 3-year-old, Lily, leaving a trail of cookie crumbs and delighted chaos in her wake. My son-in-law, Mark, had been there too, quiet as usual, buried in his phone. I was fluffing the cushions on the sage green sofa, the one my husband, Tom, and I bought 20 years ago, when I heard the soft tread on the hardwood floor behind me. I assumed it was Tom, back from his Saturday errand run. Forget the milk? I asked, not turning around. It's me, Barbara. The voice was wrong, higher, tighter than Tom's warm baritone. I twisted around, still on my knees. Mark stood in the archway between the living room and the foyer. He must have come back. He looked pale, his hands shoved deep into the pockets of his khaki chinos, his shoulders hunched. He was a handsome man, Mark Evans, with the kind of clean-cut, reliable look that had made my heart settle when Chloe brought him home. A financial analyst, stable, serious. But now, he looked like a boy waiting outside the principal's office. Mark, you startled me. Did you forget something? Chloe's long gone. No, he said, his voice barely above a murmur. He didn't move from the doorway. I told her I had to go back to the office. A work emergency. I needed to talk to you. A cold trickle, unrelated to the sun-warmed room, traced a path down my spine. To me. Is everything okay? With Chloe? With Lily? They are fine. It's not about them. He finally stepped into the room, but it wasn't a step of confidence. It was a shuffle. He perched on the very edge of the armchair Tom always claimed, looking utterly out of place. It's about me, and you. I slowly got to my feet, brushing invisible lint from my jeans. The ordinary act of cleaning felt a universe away. All right, I said, keeping my tone neutral, motherly. You know you can talk to me about anything, Mark. He looked at his hands, then at the family portrait above the fireplace, Chloe's high school graduation, Tom beaming, my own smile feeling stiff even now. He took a deep, shuddering breath that seemed to cost him dilly. Barbara, he began, his eyes locking onto mine with a desperate intensity. I need to know. I need you to tell me, is Chloe my wife? The question hung in the air. For a second, my brain refused to parse it. It was syntactically correct, but semantically insane. It was a question that bypassed reason and landed directly in the pit of my stomach with a sickening thud. I actually let out a small, bewildered laugh. Is Chloe your wife? Mark, of course she's your wife. You have a marriage certificate, a child, a home together. What on earth kind of question is that? He shook his head violently, as if swatting away a fly. No, that's not what I mean. I mean, is she mine? Are you sure she's faithful to me? There it was. The cold trickle turned into a flood of ice water. Jealousy, paranoia, the slow poison that erodes marriages from the inside. My maternal instinct flared, protective and fierce. Mark, listen to me. Chloe loves you. She adores you. She's never given you a single reason to doubt her, has she? It's not about reasons. He burst out, his composed facade cracking. He stood up, pacing the length of the Persian rug. It's a feeling. A constant, gnawing feeling. She works late sometimes. She's so beautiful, Barbara. People look at her. She's friendly. Too friendly. She texts, and she smiles at her phone, and she doesn't always tell me who it is. I've tried to let it go. I've tried to talk to her about it, but she just gets defensive, says I'm being controlling, that I need to trust her. I saw it then, the torment in him. This wasn't the scheming of a villain, it was the agony of a man trapped in a prison of his own making. My anger softened, but the dread intensified. This was a delicate, dangerous bomb he had placed in my living room. Mark, insecurity is a terrible thing, but you can't let it destroy what you have. Chloe chose you. She built a life with you. You have to find a way to believe in that. He stopped pacing and stood before me, his eyes red-rimmed and pleading. I want to believe. God, I want to. But I can't silence the voice. It's there, every day. And then, I started looking for proof. My breath caught. What did you do? I checked her phone, he admitted, shamefaced. A few times. I never found anything concrete. Just ambiguities. A lunch with a male co-worker she didn't mention. An old college friend liking all her photos. It feeds the doubt, Barbara. It makes it real. That's a violation of her privacy, Mark, a huge betrayal of trust. I know, he cried. Don't you think I know that? I hate myself for it. But the question won't leave me alone. It's eating me alive. He took another step closer. His voice dropped to a desperate whisper. That's why I came to you. You're her mother. You know her better than anyone. You see her when I'm not around. You talk to her. You have to know. You have to see the truth. Please, just tell me. Is she having an affair? Just tell me yes or no. Please, I need to hear it from you. And there it was. The unthinkable request. He was asking me, his wife's mother, to become his informant, to choose between my daughter's confidential life and his desperate need for certainty, to spy for him, to betray the sacred mother-daughter bond to soothe his unspeakable anxiety. It was a question no man should ever ask his mother-in-law, a line that should never, ever be crossed. The room felt suddenly airless. The sun seemed too bright, the tidy perfection of the living room a cruel joke. I looked at this man, this father of my grandchild, this husband my daughter loved, and I saw a stranger drowning. Mark, I said, my voice surprisingly steady. Sit down. He obeyed, collapsing back into the armchair. I sat on the sofa, facing him, the coffee table a fragile barrier between us. I will not answer that question, I said quietly. Not because I have something to hide, but because the question itself is wrong. It is a poison pill for our whole family. If I said no, you would wonder if I was protecting her. If I said yes, God forbid, Mark, but if I somehow confirmed your worst fears, what then? You would have made me complicit in destroying my own daughter's marriage. You are asking me to take a side against my child. I'm not asking you to take a side. I'm asking for the truth. The truth isn't a simple yes or no you can get from me, I said, my composure slipping. The truth is in your marriage. The truth is in the vows you took. The truth is in therapy, Mark. Professional help. This suspicion, it's a sickness. And coming to me is not the cure. It's a symptom. He looked shattered. So you won't help me. I am trying to help you, I insisted, leaning forward. I am helping you by telling you this path leads to ruin. Chloe is not the problem. Your fear is the problem. And until you address that, nothing I say will ever be enough. You will always need one more piece of proof, one more confirmation. You will turn your marriage, and your family, into a surveillance operation. The words hung between us, harsh but necessary. He put his head in his hands. I don't know how to stop, he mumbled into his palms. You start by being honest with her, not accusatory. Honest about your fear, about your insecurity. You tell her you are struggling, and you need her help to fight it together. And you get a therapist. Today. What if she leaves me when I tell her I've been checking her phone? What if she leaves you because you've become a stranger who distrusts her every move? I countered softly. You have a choice, Mark. You can let this fear control you and destroy everything, or you can be brave enough to be vulnerable and try to rebuild the trust you've broken. He was silent for a long time. The grandfather clock in the hall ticked ponderously. I thought of Chloe, of her bright laugh, of the way she looked at Mark when they first started dating, like he hung the moon. I thought of little Lily, who deserved a father who was present, not lost in a maze of paranoia. Finally, he looked up. The desperation was still there, but it was edged with something else, a dawning, horrified clarity. I've messed up, really badly. You have, I agreed, not unkindly. But it's not irreparable. Not yet. Will you tell her I came to you? Another landmine. If I told Chloe, it would be a massive breach of his confidence and likely end their marriage. If I didn't, I would be keeping a terrible secret from my daughter. I was in an impossible bind, one he had put me in. I don't know, I answered truthfully. I need to think about that. But I will tell you this, if you do not tell her yourself, and soon, and if you do not get professional help, I will be forced to reconsider. I cannot watch you torture yourself and my daughter without doing something. My loyalty ultimately is to her health and happiness, and to Lily's. It was the hardest line I'd ever had to draw. He nodded slowly, as if absorbing a death sentence. He stood up, looking older, deflated. I'm sorry, Barbara. I'm so sorry for putting this on you. It was unfair. It was, I said, standing as well. But I hope it's also a wake-up call. Go home, Mark. Talk to your wife. Not as her interrogator. As her husband, who is scared and needs her. He left without another word, the front door clicking shut with a finality that echoed. I sank back onto the sofa, the fluffed cushions now feeling absurd. The living room was clean, orderly, serene, and I felt utterly shattered. When Tom came home 20 minutes later, juggling grocery bags, he took one look at my face and stopped. Barb, honey, what's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost. How could I even begin? To tell him would be to spread the poison, to pull him into the nightmare, but keeping it from him felt like another betrayal. Mark was here, I said, my voice thin. He's in a bad way, Tom, he's having some serious problems. Marital problems. Tom's face hardened with concern. What kind of problems? Is he hurting Chloe? No, nothing like that. He's hurting himself, and it's hurting her by extension. I gave him a sanitized version, omitting the horrific request, focusing on Mark's insecurity and need for help. It was enough for Tom to grasp the gravity. That fool, Tom muttered, running a hand through his silver hair. That poor, scared fool. We have to help them. We can't, I said, the weight of the afternoon crushing me. We can only set boundaries and point them toward real help. We can't do the work for them. The following week was agony. Every time my phone rang with Chloe's picture, my heart seized. Was she calling to tell me they'd had a huge fight? To ask if I knew why Mark was acting strange? To confess an affair? The specter of Mark's question haunted every interaction. When she called, chatting about Lily's first swim lesson, her voice sounded light, normal. There was no undercurrent of crisis. Was Mark pretending? Had he taken my advice? I became an unwilling detective, analyzing her every word, her tone, for clues. I hated it. I hated Mark for making me this way. The sanctity of my relationship with my daughter felt stained. 10 days after the question, Chloe came over alone. Lily was at a playdate. We drank iced tea on the patio. She was quieter than usual, picking at the label on her bottle. Mum, she said, finally staring out at the garden. Can I ask you something weird? Here it comes, I thought, my blood turning to ice. Of course, sweetie. Did Mark say anything to you or Dad lately? Act strange. I chose my words with the care of a bomb disposal expert. He seemed a little stressed last time he was here. Why? She let out a long, shaky sigh. He sat me down last weekend. He was a wreck. Crying, actually. He told me he's been struggling with this intense jealousy. He said he's been having these thoughts that I'm going to leave him, that I'm not faithful. He even admitted he looked through my phone a couple times. I held my breath. What did you say? I was furious. At first, it felt like such a violation, but he wasn't angry or accusing. He was just so sad and scared. He said he knows it's his problem, his insecurity. He said he's already found a therapist and had his first session. He asked if I would consider going with him, sometimes, to help him, and to help us. A wave of such profound relief washed over me that I felt dizzy. He had listened. He had chosen the harder, right path. And what did you say? I asked, reaching for her hand. She took it, her grip tight. I said yes, because I love him, and because the man who told me all that was the man I married, not the quiet, distant, suspicious guy he's been lately. She looked at me, her eyes brimming. It's scary, Mum. He's really hurting. I know, honey, I whispered, my throat tight. But he's facing it. That's everything. She nodded, wiping her eyes. It just felt so out of the blue. I wondered if something had happened to trigger it. That's why I asked if he'd said anything. I looked into my daughter's eyes, the clear, trusting eyes of the little girl